with Cross My Heart Ministry. Thanks so much for stopping by to visit our channel. You know, these are days of great uncertainty, days that come with a lot of challenge, a lot of spiritual anxiety, a lot of concern about work and job and the economy and so many things that are weighing so heavy on us. We're all kind of coming back home and watching the news, and the kids are all home with a lot of us. If we're grandparents, we may have grandchildren home with us. And so as we think about all the things that are going on out there, perhaps the place that we can have some certainty in the midst of all the uncertainty out there is the order and peace that we can try to cultivate in our own home. So I want to just share some ideas with you today about maybe a way that you can come up with some intentional thoughts and put together a plan to try to have home work for you. I'm calling this Make a Plan to Make Home Work. And so before I start sharing my 10 ideas, my top 10 ideas to make home work for you, I'd like you to just sort of think for a moment about how you could look back on this time at home 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now. None of us really know how long this crisis might last, but how would you look back and define these days or weeks or even months at home as good? You know, when God created the world, at the end of each day, He declared it good. My oldest son was a man of few words, and I remember getting so frustrated when he was a teenager and he would come home from an event or youth group or an experience, and I would say, well, how was it? And he would give one word, and that word would be good. But then it occurred to me that if God declared His creation good, maybe good was good enough. So I want to ask you, my friend, how would you look back on this time and define it as good? How would you like to look back and feel like you didn't squander that time or waste it, or you used that time for its maximum benefit? I have a feeling that binge watching something on Netflix or treating every day like a Saturday where everybody gets up whenever they want to and we just eat junk food and never exercise and watch television nonstop, I don't know that that would be a way that any of us would really look back and define good. So I want to challenge you first of all to ask yourself, what would good look like? And good may be different depending upon whether you are an empty nester and home with just your spouse, whether you're single, whether you have lots of children in your family. What kind of memories do you want to make? What kinds of practical chores might you like to accomplish? So hopefully I've got your brain kind of thinking about some of those things. And let me just jump now into my list of 10 things to ponder and consider. Number one on my list is to get up. To get up. Not just sort of allow everybody under the roof to get up whenever they want. If you typically get up in the morning at 6 a.m., maybe you'll adjust your getting up time to 7 or 7:30. If the children are normally needing to be up by 7, well, maybe you'll extend some grace and say you can sleep in till 8 or 8:30. But I think having a routine, children thrive kind of on that. And so getting them to sort of have a general routine. We're not going to try to recreate the school system at home, but just getting up in the morning. Let's get up. Let's go ahead and get dressed. Let's not lounge around in our pajamas all day. Let's make our bed and just have some normal things that we do to create some things that are predictable. And I think just having a routine will be good for us, but also good for any children that are living under our roof. Second thing is to get into the Word. I can't stress enough the priority that this needs to be and the blessing that will come from your life. It's sort of a first things first mindset for me. I began to cultivate this habit in my 20s, and it's just part of my morning routine. I have my coffee, I get into the Word, and I think most believers, and if you're watching Cross My Heart Ministry, I'm guessing that you love Jesus, but I think many of us have grown accustomed to getting our weekly meal, if you will, from our pastor. We let him feed us on Sunday mornings, but just as we need to eat physically more than once a week, I think our souls and our spirit need to eat every single day. So wherever you are, I want to invite you, encourage you, admonish you to be a woman of the Word. If that hasn't been your routine, I've got a couple of ideas to get you started. One is to get a copy, and I'll put a link below, to one of these Write the Word bookmarks. If you're a regular subscriber to my channel, you know that I write for another blog called A Reason for Homeschool. And over at that blog that I've been writing for 3 years, there's a monthly bookmark. So I guess we're up to about 35 or 36 of those now. Each month I choose a different word. And I choose 30 or 31 verses, depending on the month, that have that particular word in it. So I grabbed the one on hope because I thought that's really something that all of us need right now. So you can find this over there, print this, and then look up each one of these verses. Don't just read it. Don't just look it up and read it. I want to challenge you to also pray that verse back to God, and to also find a journal or a notebook or just a piece of paper and write that verse out. That's a great way to begin. It's been my experience that writing the word slows me down. I can digest it. I see things in there that maybe I didn't see before. So I want to encourage you to consider that weekly habit. Another option for you is to go to the playlist here on my channel. We have 3 Bible studies available for you to study through. You can read the book of 1 Samuel and then listen to our teaching lectures and just study through the book of 1 Samuel with us. 2 Samuel is also available, and we've just finished up a study on the parables. So you can read the passage that is noted on your own, and then just listen to the teaching lecture and have a Bible study at home on your own. Those are just a couple of options. There may be other things that come to mind, but I just want to challenge you to get up and get into the Word and let that be part of the daily rhythm and routine of where you are. You can get your children involved in writing the Word as well. It will be good for them. You can maybe discuss that verse as a family. The next thing is to make a plan. And so that goes back to that first question that I asked you about what does good look like? If you were to look back, how would you define good? So as you start to make that plan, I want to challenge you, first of all, to make it realistic. I think it would be unrealistic, for example, to decide during this time off, I'm going to buzz through every closet in my house. I'm going to organize the attic. I'm going to clean out the garage. Instead, you might say, you know, every other day I'm going to tackle one drawer, or this week I'm going to clean out one closet. Maybe you've got a practical goal like that. Maybe your goal is going to be that you're going to call a family member a couple of times each week. You're going to be sure to keep in touch with a sibling, or maybe call a friend, or reach out to someone. Maybe you're going to get some food stockpiled in the freezer, make up a couple of meals just in case your family gets hit with this virus, or just in case you need to take a meal to someone else. But make a plan and then sort of flesh out a schedule to accomplish those goals. Keep it realistic, but don't squander the time. If you have children at home, maybe you're just going to grab a piece of paper and put together a schedule that says, we're going to be up at this time, we're going to read the Word together, we're going to do a little schoolwork, we're going to take a break and do something fun. Then we're going to take off and do a little more schoolwork. We're going to have lunch. We're going to have some reading time. Just sort of some loose chunks of time that sort of intentionally have a plan and a schedule for your day. And so make it realistic. Don't squander that time. The next thing that I admonish you to do is to limit technology. That's number 4. It's so easy to just turn on the television, have that going on in the background. It's so easy if we had children to let the phone or their device or the tablet or the TV be the babysitter. There's lots of blogs out there. You can Google and find one that talk about the dangers of too much technology for children. But it just seems like eating, if you're comparing it to eating, it's just empty calories. Why binge on that when there are such better things that we can do with our time? Yes, we're probably all going to watch a little television, but maybe make a decision about how much is appropriate, and only you can decide that for your family. I call it screen time, and when I was raising my kids, I had a pretty strict limit, but we defined screen time as anything that had a screen. So that would be a video game, that would be television, computer games, anything like that that is driven by technology. So just challenging you to think through and pray through what's appropriate for your family. Next is to eat your meals together. You know, this is America, and so many of us grab a Pop-Tart and eat it in the car on the way to work or school. We're accustomed to being away from home for lunch and we don't see each other. And sometimes dinner time is everybody taking their plate, eating in front of the television, somebody on their phone here or whatever. You've got this precious time together. Eat a meal together. Sit at the table. have conversation, get to know one another. Too often we ask just a question, how was your day? Ask open-ended questions. What was the best part of today? Tell them stories about your childhood. Ask questions, tell your children stories about when they were growing up. Funny stories from when they were babies. Ask everybody to come up with a joke to share at dinner time. Google something that they can ask one another. Just all sorts of questions and conversation, but just try to cultivate that meal time to be a time to get to know one another, to create some great family memories, to laugh together, to engage in conversation. But eat a meal together, and I'm hoping and praying that will cultivate a new habit even post-virus for all of us to be together. The next one is to exercise. We're inside, there may be a tendency to snack, to feel like we're just snacking and grazing all day long. We want to limit those bad habits, but also, if it's possible, to maintain the social distancing. Take the children outside, play in the backyard, go for a walk, do something to get some exercise. There's plenty of YouTube videos, and maybe don't count that as screen time, to get some exercise and just to try to feel like you're physically moving your body. Just getting some exercise and drinking water and staying hydrated will just have your body feeling better, and that's going to change everything about your countenance as well. Next is to be intentional with your stuff. And this kind of goes back to organizing those drawers or closets that I was talking about. I think if you accomplish some of those goals, I know for me, those are the things that tend to bury me, the things that would always make me feel like I wasn't doing a good job and I wasn't being a good steward of what we have. And there's nothing like organizing a drawer or organizing a closet or clearing out some stuff that just made me feel a little bit on top of things. I always just sort of felt like it was something that was going to stay done, at least for a little while. It just always felt like if I cleaned up the kitchen, I was going to have to clean it up again. If I did laundry, it was going to have to be done again tomorrow. So cleaning out a closet or organizing a drawer just always sort of lifted me up and gave me a boost as a mom. So maybe look around your home, identify 3 or 4 hot spots that have been bugging you, and enlist the help of the children. Maybe just do that clean sweep approach. Empty the whole closet, pull it all out, sort it, figure out what you can put away, throw away, give away. Have those boxes ready to drop back off to Goodwill whenever Goodwill's going to be open again, or the Salvation Army. But I think that'll make you feel like you've accomplished something practical and helpful to make life work better. Next is to be intentional with your peeps. And so these are with your people. The children, if you have children at home, most likely have some schoolwork to do. If not, there's no short supply of ideas all over social media with ways that you can do that. But if you haven't thought about that, I have a couple of manipulatives here, a couple of things I just pulled off my shelves, and I'll take pictures of these later to put up on the screen. But there's nothing like just games. Pull out your board games. I have bananagram tiles here, and I have those here to spell out a couple of words. If your children have spelling words, or if you want to come up with some spelling words for them, let them use some manipulatives to spell those. Let them use the bananagrams or the Scrabble tiles to do it. I found some lima beans, some dried beans on my shelf, and that's such a fun way for children to learn spelling words. So do some creative things. Find toothpicks. Roll out some Play-Doh. Let them have fun with their spelling words. Be intentional if they need to do some schoolwork. Also, let play be fun. Use that downtime. Instead of watching television, play dominoes or apples to apples or checkers. If you've got a deck of cards, there's no shortage of all sorts of games that you can play with your children. But just get down on the floor, pull out the crossword puzzles or pull out the jigsaw puzzles, work some puzzles, play some games. Just be very intentional with your children, even with your spouse. Just have some fun. Be intentional with your peeps, that you're not just all home, off in your corners, doing your own thing. Be intentional. Look at your photo albums. Share some memories. Be intentional with your peeps. The next one I want to share is called Dear Time. If you've watched a previous video of mine, I call that Drop Everything and Read. I have given myself permission to drop everything and read during 2020. And so I chose 12 books That's a minimum for me, one that I'm going to intentionally read each month. But I'm finding that as I give myself that gift of time to read, I'm actually adding in 2 or 3 more books. So I'm reading more than one a month, but besides all the ones that I need to read for ministry and teaching and that kind of thing. So during this time of having them all home, doing some drop everything and read time will also be a way that you accomplish some of these other things. Have some intentional family memories, limit technology, maybe have a read aloud going that you're curling up with the kids on the couch and reading together with them, reading to them. Maybe have some time where everyone's just going to be quiet and read their own book. Even little preschoolers can be given board books, and you can train them to sit still and be quiet, and they'll want to mimic you and their older siblings and look through those board books. You and your husband, if you're empty nesters, can take turns reading aloud a chapter to one another and discussing that book. There's nothing like reading to cultivate sweet, precious family memories. I wrote a blog about Dear Time for a Reason for Homeschool, about reading aloud to children, and I'll add the link to that below as well as the link to the previous video that I did for Cross My Heart Ministry for you to link to and find that. And then finally, the last thing I want to share is just to pray. These are challenging times. These are times of uncertainty. They are times that it's just so easy to give in to fear. And I know that you've all heard that as we cultivate faith, as we lean into our faith, that's the way that we combat fear. It's almost like there's this tug of war between faith and fear. And as we step into praying, it bolsters our faith. And when we fail to pray, I think we are more prone to be prey to fear. I love this verse from Romans 12:12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. I finished up my last journal and I started a new one this morning, and what a great way to begin. I came across this wonderful quote by Billy Graham on prayer, and I just want to share it with you. I'll also add the words up on the screen if you want to press the space bar and stop and write it in your own journal. But this is what Billy Graham says about prayer. We are to pray in times of adversity. And certainly we would all say that this current crisis, this health crisis that we are facing as a nation and even as a world, is indeed a time of adversity. We are to pray in times of adversity lest we become faithless and unbelieving. We are to pray in times of prosperity lest we become boastful and proud. We are to pray in times of danger lest we become fearful and doubting. We are to pray in times of security lest we become self-sufficient. What a precious, challenging word to spur us on to pray in all times and in all ways. No matter what time it is, it's time to pray, but certainly these times of adversity would call us to pray. I just want to encourage you to be intentional about this time that we have, not to squander it, to have a plan for your family. This is Cross My Heart Ministry. My name is Laura McFarland. If you're a regular subscriber, I just want to thank you so much. If you think the content of this video or any of our videos would be a blessing to someone you know, could I ask you just to share that with them? And if you have a couple of friends that you know watch but haven't yet subscribed, could you ask them to do that? We are grateful when that happens. We love it, of course, when you you just click that thumbs up button to let us know that you like the content we're bringing. And it's always a blessing when you leave a comment below. I love to know what is resonating with you and what is touching your heart, what's spurring you on. In fact, leave me a comment below and let me know which one of these things has challenged you, which one of these things you are going to work on to incorporate into your life during this time out that we all have. Is it going to be to get up or get in the Word, to make a plan, limit technology, eat meals together, exercise, be intentional with your stuff, be intentional with your peeps, grab some dear time, or just to pray? Just write out below in a note which one of those you are going to be working for. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. And above all, friends, stay home, stay safe, stay in the Word, keep praying. And thank you so much for joining me and spending this time with me today. Blessings to you and yours from my home here in Northwest Arkansas.